and welcome back to VoxPopcast, the weekly pseudo-academic roundtable of pop culture analysis with drinking and swearing. My name's Christopher Maverick, but you can call me Mav, and I am once again here with my co-host. Okay, this is weird. I'm here with my co-host, Monica and Hannah. Hey guys, how's it going?
Mav, I finished my bucket of cookies.
Bucket of cookies last week?
Last week.
Well, okay, so from last week as we aired, but not as we recorded. Recorded from like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's been 2 days and the bucket of cookies is gone. Listeners, it was the bucket fit 5 dozen cookies, but I did have some friends to share them with. So if I were to estimate,
you shared. You implied that there would be no sharing last week.
2 dozen did make it into my body.
It was nice of you to share.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but towards the end of our episode last week, I started getting a little ill, and then I thought I should really get some help with these. So I am out of Christmas cookies.
There actually is a Christmas movie that mirrors your binging of the cookies, I'm realizing. There's a Christmas movie, Our Little Secret, with Lindsay Lohan.
You're right.
She also binges the Christmas cookies.
Don't give too much away. Okay, so wait, before we get too far into it, because we got a lot of guests today. We were talking off air when we started doing the annual Christmas show, the VoxPopcast annual cheesy Christmas movie spectacular. The problem with it was always that Hannah and I both love cheesy Christmas movies, and if you are a regular listener to the show, that Katya and Wayne are not here because they do not have Christmas spirit and they are dead inside and they could not be bothered to come to our Christmas show.
In fairness, Katya did watch a Christmas movie this year.
She did watch one, yes.
Which is rare.
But she was busy.
Yeah.
But this show used to be for cheesy Christmas movies. Hannah and I making family members come this show because they love us and they had no choice. That was like how we staffed the Christmas show. But it was always a struggle because nobody wanted to do it. But then Monica joined the show and she also loves the cheesy Christmas movies. So she's been around. And then we found other people to be on the Christmas show. And we've got like a full house today. This is the most people that we've ever had for the cheesy Christmas movie special. So I am terribly excited for this. So we have returning to the show, but I don't think you've done a Christmas episode before. We have Sandy Eckard. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
You weren't on the Christmas episode before, but you have been on before, right?
Yes. I did the Nancy Drew show.
Yes. I missed the Nancy Drew TV show. That was such
I think about that quite often, how much I really enjoyed
that. Sandy is one of the people who, like, I noticed last year after we recorded this episode, that you were like sort of live tweeting, live Facebooking, sort of, okay, so here's what I thought of this most recent episode. And then once I realized, she just watched like a dozen Christmas movies. We just need to have her on. So that's how you're here. Thank you for showing up today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay. Also returning, we have Gwen Tarbox. Gwen, you've done a couple of the Christmas episodes, correct?
I think this is my 3rd Christmas episode. 3 is a charm, people.
So Gwen, similarly, a couple of years ago, you were going through and just like reviewing every Christmas movie. And then we realized you watch even more of them than Hannah and I do. And you invented a course about them.
I didn't teach it, I invented it, but my graduate student, Heather Sanford, taught it. And it was holiday movies. And this is really important to think about, my popular culture friends, that she told me that this was the most involved group of students in terms of learning cultural theory, because they actually had done the quote unquote reading for class and had opinions and were ready to share. So really highly recommend, if you've ever thought about like a class that grabs students' attention, do a holiday movie class because it rocks.
Absolutely. And then finally, so this is not exactly our 3rd guest's first time on the show, but it's first time being here for the entire show. This is my coworker, Jess Fitzpatrick. Hey, Jess.
Hi. Glad to be here for the entire show, as you said.
Yeah. So Jess got invited because you were just telling me, like, in our hall, her office is 2 doors from mine. I can't do metros from mine. And we were just talking about these movies, and I realized, wait, how many of these have you watched this year?
And I was like, oh, my toddler gave us a stomach flu. The only thing I could do for a weekend was binge Christmas movies. I've seen many Christmas movies all in a row. They gave me life.
Yeah, so we've got a lot. There are a few that I really want to talk about this season. But as always, we're just going to kind of go through and talk about why do we love these, and, are any of them actually good? I would argue at least one of them is actually a legit good movie this year. Is that fair?
Yes. Although some of them are not interesting and not good.
Yes.
And one of those movies is named Dear Santa. It might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm just going to get that out of the right way, like right now.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I wanted to watch it, take one for the team, for the show. But then Hannah watched it, and you said nothing nice about it at all. And it wasn't on the streaming service that I have, so I would have had to paid money out of my pocket. And I was like, well, Hannah hated it a lot, and that's $4 that I'll never get back. So
well, in 2 hours of my life, I'll never get back.
Well, because I didn't pay the $4.
Yeah, exactly. Did anyone else watch Dear Santa?
No.
Santa was not on.
Lucky all of you. The premise is a kid writes Santa a letter, but misspells the name to Satan, so it gets delivered to hell. And the kid makes a deal with the devil to get 3 wishes and sells his soul. But then a bunch of other stuff happens, and right from the get-go, it's almost entirely unwatchable. I was fast forwarding through scenes because I found it so painful. And I told Josh the end. Josh is my partner, because he had kind of wanted to see it because he was like, this is so stupid. I want to watch this. And I was like, here is the end. And he was like, oh. And I said, and that was the most watchable part of the movie. And he was like, oh. So we don't have to get into it. I just want you all to know that I watched that. And then I watched Red 1 directly after that. So we'll see how that colors my, but I don't recommend, honestly, negative out of 10.
And Santa/Satan is played by Jack Black.
Yes.
This does sound as bad as you make it sound.
It's worse than I'm making it sound, honestly. I don't want to.
It has some big names in it. And
I thought there was maybe something interesting there originally, and then I was, sometimes Vanessa Hudgens really shines and knows what she's doing by comparison. This was Space Jam 2 bad.
Is Vanessa Hudgens in this?
No, she's not. I'm just saying, Princess Switch, it is an Oscar winner compared, and I love the Princess Switch, but I know in reality it's not Oscar winner, but all the other movies shine in comparison. I would recommend Red 1 if you want a dumb, fun time. And I know that Mav is going to say something about that, but do keep in mind, I watched this, and then I watched Red 1.
And I haven't seen this.
I have to say, Mav, when you said, and one of these was a real movie this year, I'm really, really dying to know which one you think is a real movie, because I think one was a real movie this year, too. But I don't think it was the same one.
Okay.
I also would love a definition of what we all think is a real movie.
What is a real Christmas movie compared to what is a real movie?
Well, especially we have different genres going on, right? Red 1 I want to be Die Hard and the Santa Claus, but I can't be either. Uh-huh. And then we have the romance. So, yeah.
Who watched Red 1?
I watched Red 1.
I watched Red 1.
As you know, I did.
I hated Red 1. Oh my God. I spent the entire time going, I get it. I know this is supposed to be funny. This is just not, it's not working. And I think that it suffered from too much Rock. I love The Rock. I actually think The Rock is great. But the problem with The Rock is The Rock doesn't have taste. He thinks that what makes a good movie is, and then what if I kicked ass? And if the movie needs to be better, what if I kick more ass? And what makes The Rock work in a Fast and Furious is that he's peppered into the Fast and the Furious with Vin Diesel. and with Jason Statham and other people who also have the same mentality, and they all have to fight for superiority. And then Red One was not that. Red One was just The Rock in all of his glory, with no one fighting against him and no one telling him no. And me just going, oh my God, when is this over? I did not like Red One. I found it so painful.
But you're neglecting how well they celebrate the Irish elk.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, it was a true, genuine love affair with the great Irish elk, and no one can tell me anything different. And that was not the point that they wanted to make with that film, but they made it very well about this extinct species that saves everything and is the real hero of the day. And some of the fun, like, magical story building was exciting. Like, take toys, grow them, have fun with Rock'em Sock'em robots. Like, that was good. The witch was not scary until the end, which was a sad, lacking.
But I would have given Red One a 10 out of 10 if the witch is based on a Icelandic folktale about a soul who lives in the mountains, and she has a Yule cat who will eat people if they don't get new clothes for Christmas. And if the cat had been a part of the movie, I would have given it a 10 out of 10. Absolutely. Nothing else would have mattered. But there was no cat. So don't get excited.
But in a movie where everything is fucking animated, they couldn't throw a cat in there?
I know, right? I am the sentimentalist, I think, of the hosts on this podcast. And I did like that the sentimental moment was more about, I can do better. I would like some opportunities to do better. Every day we have a chance to do better. It's not about being nicer or naughty. It's about working to do a little better and try each time. And I don't know. That just spoke to me on a random Monday after watching Dear Santa. I did find the toy stuff fun, and I thought that there was a little credit due to the people who made Red One for trying to make something semi-original. They're trying to build a world of magical creatures, and
they're trying to build a world where they could make sequels.
Yeah,
like from a new world.
Yeah, it's not another Marvel movie, Mav.
No, I get it, but what was The Rock's movie with Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot? It was Red Notice. It was a Red Notice. It was hey, let's put The Rock there and he'll play the character that he plays, and we'll put Captain America, Chris Evans, in, and he'll do. I mean, he at least tried to act a little bit. I found it so painful. This was not my real movie, Monica. This is not my movie theater.
Getting that picture.
Free.
Yeah. Free. It was in the theater movie.
Yeah, so for 15 minutes, it was in the theater.
For it to be a movie, when it comes to Christmas movies, it does not mean that it was in the cinema, movie.
No.
I appreciated that Sleepy Time Santa was like the damsel, though. Also, that Santa was like old guy wiry. Those are both fun portrayals. I appreciated this thing.
I love any movie where J.K. Simmons gets to show his guns and flex. It's nice. Yes, but that was the highlight of the film for me.
So we finally got Mav to say something nice about Red One. So
I'm done. That was it. Do any of the guests have any that they specifically want to talk about? Because from here on out, all of mine are Netflix, Hallmark, Lifetime. Everything else I have is from TV.
The only one that I saw was Merry Little Batman, which came out last year, I guess, technically, but I hadn't seen it. So far, it's very enjoyable.
You were telling me about this one an hour ago, basically.
Yeah.
But I've not seen this yet either.
Yeah, I was like, well, Mav needs to, because of course, comics. Mm-hmm. Batman is a successful dad, so clearly it's alternate world building. And he gets called away through, of course, a nefarious plot of the Joker. And Gotham, which has been made safe, because Batman realized he's dad and he wanted the city to be safe for his kid, Damian, starts having a Home Alone-esque Christmas crease, crime spree. And Damian's the kid who wants to, step up and be the Batman and, fix it. And, of course, he makes everything worse. And there's lots of, in-jokes. If you like Batman casually or more in-depth, you'll find some fun things. And there's lots of fun, haha, kids are hard. And Batman is a dad, and being a dad is hard. And, yeah, it's fun.
I haven't seen. So
Selena. Like I don't know. It's a good time so far. It's a good time.
The important question is Catwoman in this film?
So no, but they do name the cat Selena, and the cat is the family pet, and she does get a lot of screen time. Also, Poison Ivy is a blonde, so I don't know. I have some feelings, but if nobody else has seen it, we can move on.
I do question the logic of naming your pet after your ex-girlfriend. That's weird.
I don't know if it is an ex-girlfriend or if it's just like a haha, you know this name, dear viewer. I don't know.
And what about you? Any that you saw that you definitely want to talk about?
Well, okay, so I'm going to start getting all comparative and weird, but there are two movies that I had a strong reaction to. One of them I absolutely loved. The other I tolerated. And what is interesting is when I started to dive deeply, I found out they were both written by the same person.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So there's a writer who does a lot of Hallmark movies, and her name is Julie Sherman Wolfe. Mm-hmm. And this year she wrote the Holiday Touchdown, A Chief's Love. Okay, so let's put a pin in that one. That's the one that I want to talk about just very briefly is the other one she wrote, which is called Hanukkah on the Rocks.
Okay.
And it was, for me, the strongest movie I've seen so far this year, and I've seen 10. So out of 10 that I've seen, this one, made me actually cry. Mm-hmm. And I don't actually cry very often either, literally in life when bad things happen, or watching stuff. I'm not that sentimental. And basically what this writer does is she's interested in multi-generational storylines. And I love that. So if you want to know what I love about a movie, I love it when you get all different generations and they're portrayed well. What I'm going to argue is we don't have to start talking about the Chief's love story yet, but I'm going to argue that one doesn't do it as well as Hanukkah on the Rocks. So that's my initial take this year, is that I found this writer and I find her interesting and I like what she does. Hanukkah on the Rocks just blew me away on so many levels. And honestly, I could see ways in which some people might really hate it because it is a little cheesy. It completely captures what it's like to be in Chicago and part of a small community that meets at a bar.
We will talk about the Chief's love story as well, but she has written a bunch of these Hallmark movies. Hanukkah on the Rocks, One Royal Holiday, Holiday Hotline was last year. This is her whole thing is doing Hallmark movies, and they're always really well received. Not surprising. I haven't watched that one yet, so I have to.
I would say if there were two writers that I really liked on the Hallmark spectrum, she's definitely one. And I will say that I thought Holiday Touchdown, I cried at the part with the chairs. I mean, I thought that little flashback scene with the two young. So I think she is really good with the generational, as you know, story. But I also really like Kimberly Sested. She's also an actress too. But I think her writing is also pretty great. But I was very disappointed in Three Wiser Men and a Boy. I think I'm in the minority because everybody really liked the first one. But I was disappointed in the sequel this year.
I didn't see that one yet either.
Did anybody see Three Wise Men and a Baby?
Okay, so see, here's the problem for me. I have this thing called the 8-minute rule. And so I've seen technically more than 10 Hallmark movies. I saw 10 all the way through, in probably 30, but only in 8-minute increments, because if I get to 8 minutes and something just does not click or seems just awful or whatever, that's it. I'm done, y'all. Life is too short. So, Sandy, I watched the first 8 minutes. I didn't think it was anywhere near what the first one had been. I wasn't impressed, and I didn't watch the rest. Bad Hallmark. I didn't like
it either. I didn't like it either. I was very disappointed in it, which is sad because I really like her. The 9 Lives of Christmas, I think, might be in my rotation of movies that I always have to watch every year because I think it's terrific. But yeah, I was disappointed in it too, so I will agree with you.
I didn't get to it. I don't know if I ever finished the first one. It's Three Wise Men and a Baby is the first movie. That's from 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
3 years.
Yeah. And then this is trying to do the 3 Men and a Little Lady version of 3 Men and a Baby, in that the original one was a shameless ripoff, 3 Men and a Baby. Oh, I might give that a chance. I don't think, but like I said, I'm not sure if I ever finished the first one. It was one of those things where, since I watch even more of them than I normally would, I love these movies in general. But like, since we do this show, a lot of times I'll just put them on and I'll just leave them running while I'm grading. And I will acknowledge that one of the problems with this genre is that they can kind of melt together since they're formulaic. And so I was like, did I see all of that one or not? I'm not sure. Didn't watch it this year. I definitely haven't seen it this year. Because it's weird. One of my problems is when it was just Hallmark, it was sort of easy. But now it's Hallmark and it's Lifetime and it's Netflix and it's Great American Family. I'm not watching Great American Family anymore. In fact, I didn't do any of theirs this year. Candace Cameron can have her. She can have her world. I don't care. So I didn't do any of those this year. But like, they do blend together a little bit. So
yeah, you guys have teased it, and I really want to know about the Taylor Swift movie.
Okay, so yeah, there are two Taylor, and people made a big deal of it because everyone loves the Taylor Swift story, and by the Taylor Swift story, the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce story. Well, no, I mean just in general, in life, there's the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce world, and because their love story was over everything for the last year, both Lifetime and Hallmark touted that they were making inspired by Taylor and Travis Christmas movies. So there are two. One is called Holiday Touchdown: A Chief's Love Story, and then the other is called Christmas in the Spotlight, which is Lifetime's entry. I think people did a disservice by saying that they're both Taylor Swift stories, because they're not. So Christmas in the Spotlight, which is the Lifetime one, is the Taylor Swift / Travis Kelce love story fictionalized. It is a story about the world's most famous pop star falls in love with a football player. They try to hide their relationship for a little bit. Everybody thinks it's fake because she's dated a whole bunch of famous people and then broken up with them and written songs about them. And then, can these two crazy kids make love work? Spoilers, yes, they can. That's the story. And then the other one, Holiday Touchdown, is good. It is the story of nothing to do with Taylor Swift whatsoever. It's just that the people in the story are big Kansas City Chiefs fans. So one of the characters is a marketing executive for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the other character owns a Chiefs memorabilia store. And that's the connection to Taylor Swift and Travis. Also, Travis's real life mom is in the movie briefly. It was made in connection with the actual NFL. So the NFL endorsed this film and then allowed them to use a lot of stadium footage and stuff. I really liked Holiday Touchdown. Sandy, you talked about how you even cried during it. I didn't cry, but that scene is very emotional. So yeah.
I mean, I think what worked for me is that I actually, like, you talked about how you put things on in the background while you're grading. When I'm cleaning, or when I'm like, it's a great channel to just turn on the channel and you leave it on and you listen to these movies. I actually watched them. And
this one grabs your attention.
Yes. And I felt like it was different. And again, this is one of the writers that when I see that she writes things, I usually do pay attention because I think she's a little deeper than other writers. And I thought that the story that they told about the the grandparents, and then the daughter, the central figure, her trying to figure out how she could fall in love or how to have a life. I thought that was an interesting take. And yes, it's still a fabric love story. It's a Hallmark movie after all. I genuinely enjoyed watching. I think Tyler Hines is always a likable lead. And I thought the two of them had chemistry. And when they went and did the flashbacks to when the older generations were younger, I thought that it was an emotional moment when she lost the hat and she couldn't find the hat and didn't know what to do about it. I mean, they actually took a twist there that I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm. I just like seeing Ed Begley Jr. I'm glad he's working. Ed Begley Jr. in real life has Parkinson's, and he's an actor that I liked a great deal when he was younger. So the fact that they're finding ways to put him in film still so he can still work at, like, I don't know, he's got to be in his 70s, if not 80. Yeah, and he's great in the role. I mean, he's playing an old man. Alana, who is the main character, played by Hunter King, who is an actress who I like a lot, actually. Her sister is Joey King, who is famous for the Kissing Booth movies and has quite a few more credits than Hunter does. But Hunter King's in it and is kind of delightful as the lead. I like that there is a little will they, won't they to the story, because that's just how we do love stories. But it's not the central thing. The thing that I hated about the other Taylor movie, the one that is directly trying to rip off her life, was that the conflict of the other one was stupid. The conflict of the other one is, hey, can these people from different worlds have a relationship? But the different worlds is that one's a famous football player and the other's a famous singer, and their worlds just really aren't that different. Like, there's no real drama. In fact, most of the drama in that movie is just created by them being stupid. Whereas this one has, there are obstacles, but I'm never worried throughout Holiday Touchdown, do they really love each other? That's not what it's really about. The obstacles are they've just got an actual story that they're trying. I'm not giving anything away. They've got an actual story that they're trying to get through, and something happens and they've got to solve it. And also they're dating in the background. Like, that's sort of and it becomes delightful. It becomes a story about, her family. It becomes a story about her, about the Hunter King character. And just like, I don't want to say can she have it all, because it's not really about that. Like, if Derek and Alana break up, oh well, it's like the movie, like their lives would go on. It's not like their love story is not the central issue of the movie. And that makes me care about their love story more, because it's just sort of a background to this greater Christmas story.
Just hop in really quickly and say that's exactly why I like Hanukkah on the Rocks too, because you've really hit on, I think, something that Wolf does so well, which is I really cared about the motivation of the older generations in Holiday Touchdown and Hanukkah on the Rocks. I mean, they're more like three-dimensional human beings,
Yeah.
And so the romance is just one of the stories, and I think that makes it really rich.
I agree with you. So they're fleshed out characters.
Does anyone recommend the other one? Or
I do. I think they're both good.
Oh, really? Okay. Christmas in the Spotlight?
She's talking about the Hanukkah one. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant Christmas in the Spotlight. Does anybody recommend Christmas in the Spotlight, which I thought was pointless? And I was just like, okay.
No.
Did anybody else even see it?
No, I don't.
I saw 8 minutes of it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I wanted to make sure I watched it all the way through, because I really wanted to watch both allegedly Taylor Swift movies. And I ended up watching Christmas in the Spotlight first. I just chose randomly, not knowing that I was going to like one better than the other. And when I finished watching Christmas in the Spotlight, I was like, oh my God, do I want to go through this again? And then I saw Holiday Touchdown. I'm like, oh no, that was actually delightful. So yeah, don't watch Christmas in the Spotlight. It's pointless. There's nothing to it. It is just stupid.
Well, Mav, you did make a lot of flesh puns, which means I really want to talk about my favorite movie this season.
Okay, so I'm not sure. There's two that you can be talking about.
Merry Gentlemen, or
yeah,
exactly,
those are the two.
Exactly. Listen, we talked about wanting well-rounded characters. I'm here for abs, which means I want to see. And I do think that there's something really funny about the fact that Hot Frosty got a much larger marketing push than Merry Gentlemen did when it came to Netflix. One, I do think because Hot Frosty really leads with the title and Merry Gentlemen really buries the lead. But I want the listeners to know that Merry Gentlemen is so much more naked and so much more hot and so many more abs. And it is my favorite thing I saw this season, and it is my movie. Really? It is basically a Magic Mike Christmas in which the PG version. Our main clearly dancers, right? Yeah. Also wants to make furniture and is a carpenter like Magic Mike, but also like Jesus, guys.
I was gonna say, but like Jesus, right?
But like Jesus, a carpenter. I thought the stripper movie was delightful. So For the listeners, the plot is a girl who essentially plays some version of like a Radio City Rockette, right? Like they say that she works on Broadway, but it's at like a Christmas themed show.
She's a jingle bell.
She's a jingle. Yeah, she's a Rockette. And they make some allusions to her aging out, despite the fact that she could not possibly be more than 30 and needing to move on and retire. She goes home to visit her family for Christmas, and her family happens to own what used to be a bar that was known for also hosting performances, but it isn't doing so well. And so she decides that the thing that would save her family's bar and make it a bunch of money is if she put on a PG version of a Chippendales Magic Mike strip show.
Yeah, a male review.
Two holiday songs using what happens to, lucky for her, all of the employees that already work at the bar are super hot. Like, I will say there are lots of dance numbers, which my main complaint with Gladiator 2 was every fight scene was 30 seconds long. So I did actually really appreciate that I got lots of strip shows to uncomfortable holiday music. I would say that I genuinely loved that at one point in time, the old man barfly who happens to like spend every day at the bar, like, has to step in and join the strip show to save the day. And there were just so many things about,
and does it well.
Great at it. Like, he's quite sexy at being
but that was
the
like
stand-in
a
stripper.
Cameo too, because I didn't know who that was until I was like, he looks so familiar. And then I realized who it was.
Who is it?
Axel Caulfield.
Yes. I just felt like the earnestness of being like, Netflix that has so far made all of its silly little like princess movies was like, yeah, well, this year our theme is hot. And not just hot, stripper hot. I just thought that this was a really fun movie, guys.
It was a really fun movie. The like sentimental ending tainted the very fun stripper movie for me. I was like, oh, now sexy stripper boyfriend Jesus Carpenter is whiny, but what about this thing we've been doing for 2 weeks, man? And give up your career aspirations and the easy way of saving your parents' bar, man? I don't know. I was like, oh, this was never about your relationship. It was about the ab count, and I'm okay with that. And I agree. The dancing was lovely. But I got to that moment and I was like, nope, burn this whole town down. Fuck it. Like,
there was something really funny to me about him giving a speech that's like, now that I've found stripping, my life has been changed.
Yes.
I'm willing to let it happen in the spirit of Christmas.
I felt like those two parts of the movie didn't quite sync for me. Like, if you want to go all in with a cutesy, fun stripper movie, I'm great with that. Because I enjoyed watching it. I mean, he's adorable. And the little one piece of hair that always falls in his face and it was perfect. But then it's like it also tries to mesh like a point, but then it kind of throws the idea, as you pointed out, that, you know, like now she's supposed to like give up everything for a guy she's known for 2 weeks. And I didn't like that part. So I felt like those two pieces of the movie didn't quite sing for me. So I did enjoy it a lot, and I would totally give it thumbs up, but I didn't love it.
That was weird Christmas movie magic. Like the fact that they willing to give up everything for a person you met like this week. That's just how these movies work. It was weird because it was artificial because she didn't really have to give up everything. Like she clearly lives easy drive. I mean, like she clearly can just go there. If she can go back to New York on like the drop of a hat, then she can commute. It's fine.
So it didn't even have to be a choice. Like there was like a narrative that was set up, in my opinion, where like her job was unstable and people didn't respect her despite how much she like put into it. And she was rediscovering her love of her family's like legacy and bar, and like finding new ways to reinvigorate her career and discover like something that was not her being in the spotlight, and like, you know, finding something like, you know, it's the thing where like if you're an ice skater, you might not be able to do that forever, but there's like the Christmas movie or the sports movie where you discover your love of coaching, you know?
Yeah,
but like,
turns out I love choreography.
And she even says that, but like, she could have had a realization that would have been entirely in character and narrative sense with the movie that had been set up of like, you didn't respect me. I want to stay here. It's not about this guy. There's this possibility, but it was just there.
I'm going to run the most successful Christmas themed all male review in a small town in America.
For the rest of my life.
For the rest of my life, in this magical little town with 50 people where men can't eat carbs.
Yeah. I mean, it was like
magic.
It was right there. And so like, I had an overall good time, but you know, like how like Mav, especially, you know, how the end of Game of Thrones, where characters just stopped acting like themselves and like, did random things like run back to Cersei. I just would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, this makes no narrative sense, despite not caring about Game of Thrones that much. It's like that. It didn't make narrative sense for her to just decide to go back, even though they were offering her a ton of money.
It
How
wasn't
long
even
is it going to last?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a weirdness about it. Like being a Rockette at 30 in real life, you know, you're on borrowed time. I get it. That is a gig for a young dancer. So I understand. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying I understand how that is the premise that the movie's based on. But even in the context of the movie, they're only giving her another 3 years on her contract. And it's a world where apparently they can revoke that because they did at the beginning of the movie. It makes more sense for her to just like, I will suspend disbelief and believe that you have made the most successful, you know, male review in America in this town with 100 people in it. I'll believe that easier than I'll believe that she's just like, oh, fuck that. I'm going back to my old job because this is all it hurt her character for me in that in that moment. I should clarify or admit or whatever that I'm predisposed to like this movie because I very much like Britt Robertson, who stars as Ashley, the main character. I'm a huge Britt Robertson fan from other stuff. If there's a weirdness to this movie, it's that she's playing the old person, like she's playing a character who's too old for anything. But Britt Robertson, Monica, you said she couldn't be 30. She's actually 34. I know this because, again, I've been watching her and stuff for the last 20 years of her playing teenagers and stuff. She's never played. She's on a TV show right now called The Rookie. But for the most part, her entire career has been playing a 16-year-old girl for the last 2 decades. So as recently as a couple of years ago, it's weird that she's suddenly, and now I'm too old. And yet she doesn't really look 30, even, you know, like they didn't try to make her look 30. It kind of hurt it. I know Jess talked about this at work. They did give her kind of a tragic wig.
Oh, speaking of hair, my goodness.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I was a little bothered by just the same narrative choices that Hannah was bothered by. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. But you know whose hair was worse? The star of Hot Frosty had hair. That hair was tragic. They did that. That was a disservice. That hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
You cannot call a movie Hot Frosty and then not have a Hot Frosty.
It was fine.
Hotness was inside all along.
Then call it Fine Frosty, Mav. Okay? And I'm aware that, like,
are you saying that you don't think he was attractive? Is that what you're saying?
I feel the gay co-host demographic for Vox Pop. So I am aware that I'm like the last person that should be talking on this topic, even though I just told you that I love the naked stripper movie. But it's camp. It's queer culture. Don't question me. Hot Frosty. Mediocre Frosty. I'm sorry.
No, I have to talk about this because I need to bare my soul on this movie. Because I love, as you know, Gretchen, right? So
yes, me too.
Lacey is my holiday person. And when I saw this guy, the first thing that came to my mind and thus ruined the entire movie for me is that this is a cheaper than cheap knockoff, very young John Travolta. And that was it. It was over for me because Lacey cannot be with that kind of guy. So maybe you don't see that, but I did. And
I see where you're going with
it's
it.
ruined now.
I mean, he's Ted from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. And I was like, but they made him, I don't know. He was hotter.
He looks
in
very
Schitt's
different
Creek.
there. Yes. Oh, yeah. He looks like they're. So my problem, I'm not as down on him as Monica is.
Yeah, no, like he was fine.
Problem was, it was just like choices were made here that were not necessarily choices that I would have made.
The hair.
Yes. I think the look that they want is they want this guy to be, he's not even hot for Lacey. He's hot for the middle-aged town women who see him. Like, that's the aesthetic. He is like I think
not
comparing
do a
to John
disservice to the middle-aged town women. He should have better taste.
I think that's the John Travolta look, right? Like you've got a bunch of 50-year-old women who are drooling after this guy who's the hot guy, and they just kind of, he's very 80s hot, 1980s hot. Like,
God,
that's where he's at.
No. I was like, no.
Fair. Yeah, but I think that's what they're going for.
I think he got much more attractive when you got the innocence aspect. He was dealing with the middle school children, and he wanted to, ask her out on a date. But that was all. I think that was his strong suit in the movie, because I will say that I really liked Hot Frosty. I thought it was sweet. I like, regular Frosty as well, the animated version. And I felt like this kind of was a really nice version of that for a grown-up. I thought it was fun. And I thought it was interesting take on it.
Sandy, this is one where I have to go, no. And for me, it's because it has the big problem, right?
Oh, Born Sexy Yesterday.
Like, I'm always going to be thinking about the fact that Tom Hanks is 12 when I watch Big. And that it's weird when he gets to touch his 30-year-old coworker's boobs. And I feel uncomfortable. And that's the same way that I feel about Hot Frosty being allowed to put his lips anywhere near Gretchen Wiener's. It's like, I feel like it is almost like irresponsible to just let Hot Frosty like have puberty without the talk. I don't know. Like, there's something. I can't sexualize Hot Frosty knowing that he doesn't understand how the world works because he was born 2 days ago. And I think that inherently, like, I'm just always going to have issues with, and I didn't realize that I was going to get so riled up about mediocre, not hot Frosty, the infantile snowman, but here we are, guys.
Hear me out.
Really like other story that she starts off with this house that's falling apart, which is a metaphor for her life that's falling apart. And I don't want to give away the ending, but the ending is, the coda is about her. And I really like that. Because normally these movies end with, the couple. And I felt like I really did like the way that ended. I thought this was, I thought it was a fun movie. I didn't say it was going to win awards, but I thought that it has more in it than.
I thought it was fun.
I enjoyed it.
I appreciated that there was like a mini Brooklyn Nine-Nine reunion.
Yes. And they had fun with it, right?
Yeah.
They had so much fun with it.
Josh and I were like,
in the credits.
Wait. Is that? Yes, it is. And is his partner? Yes. This is what is happening. Great. And then I also, you know me. Well, some of you know me. I appreciate, like, as much as like it was very just similarly ridiculous in some ways, I appreciated It's a Wonderful Life reference and like that they were just like excited and sincere about, like, Christmas movies past. But hear me out. I think that, like, this like movie actually got like a really good critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it premiered with like an 85 and is now like at a 79. I would like to argue that really the greatest like Netflix pun Christmas movie is actually the 2019 The Night Before Christmas, which actually has a very similar premise of fish out of water.
Yes.
But Mav is like, oh, Hannah, not again. But I love this movie. Josh and I watch it every year.
I do too. I actually look
before. I'm a big fan of the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe, and we need Vanessa Hudgens back to make more films because we need to Avengers this thing together. Hot Frosty is an entry into it. Like there is a little bit of acknowledgement of that universe, and there's a little bit of an acknowledgement of it in the one that I want to talk about next. But I liked it. I just I'm willing to forgive the born sexy yesterday trope because it just happens so much, and it doesn't I'm willing to believe that wish fulfillment magic can make a sexually aware and even if naive, at least grown up Hot Frosty in a way that it bothers me less than what happens in Big or in 13 Going on 30 or any of those movies where it really is a teenager who's temporarily or a preteen who's temporarily aged, as opposed to this guy. I'm willing to just say, no, he was born at 30. That's fine. Though I acknowledge the problem that Monica is arguing, I do see it as slightly different. On the other hand, you look at something like Pretty Little Things, and that's exactly that story, right?
I just want to shop in the store that those people have. And I also want to say that I loved the couple walking the dog. They were great. I would watch a whole movie just surrounding them and their dog. I just want to say so.
And their obvious marital tensions.
Well, speaking of marital tensions, I'm sure Mav wants to talk about Our Little Secret.
Clearly.
Loved it. That's my movie. That's the one I loved. I thought this one was a throwback to the late 80s, maybe early 90s Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle style of rom-com. I loved everything about it. I would watch it at not Christmas. I thought it was great. For Monica, that was the one where I was like, Lindsay Lohan's this weird tragic figure in that, I think she's a phenomenal actress that had her fall when she basically went crazy from Hollywood and from being famous young and all the pressure. But she became this, like Britney Spears. People sort of started paying more attention to the drama for a while than the person. And now that she's emotionally and mentally better, she's back in this world where it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. The reason everybody cared about her is that she's a phenomenal actress. I think she's really good. And I think Our Little Secret is a legit movie that happened to be released into this Netflix Christmas world. It's also a movie style that we don't really make, for the most part, those kinds of rom-coms anymore, unless you're Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. But I think this was up there with those. I enjoyed the premise. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the acting. So that's the one that I was all in on. And that's the one that, even more so than Holiday Touchdown, it grabbed my attention and it made me watch every second of it. It made me sit down and go, oh, you're doing the real thing. And I'm very much enjoying
it. Watch Leah's Perfect Gift.
No.
Okay. No. I don't want to go there right now, since none of you has seen it. But Mav, I would love to hear later what you think of it, because the premise is very similar to Our Little Secret. Just FYI. And so that's all I want to say. But if you're listening and you're like, I liked this movie, or the premise was interesting, go watch Leah's Perfect Gift. It too is a Hanukkah Christmas sort of smash, and it's all just FYI.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's on Hallmark.
Oh, Emily Harlow. Okay. Yeah, I'll watch this one. So just premise for everyone listening, and I can do this without spoiling it. The premise to Our Little Secret is there's a boy and a girl. They meet when they're 3 or 4 or whatever. They meet very, very young, and they grow up together. And once they're adults, they become a couple. After high school, the girl is going off to her dream job in London, and the boy asks her to marry him in sort of a misguided and don't take your dream job, stay in the United States and be with me kind of move. She says no, so they break up, and she goes to London, and he lives in America, and time goes by. And like 10 years later, she's going to spend the week of Christmas with her new boyfriend, and it turns out that he's dating the new boyfriend's sister. So they both basically shown up at this home that they're supposed to spend the week at, and not knowing that the other was going to be there. And they're like, oh my God, it's you. And he wants to he's like, well, it's fine. We'll just tell them that we know each other. And she's like, no, we absolutely will not. We've got to lie about this. And they give me a reason to care. That's what I really like. Here, the reason is he wants to tell everybody. And then Lindsay Lohan says, you want to tell our new partners and their families that we used to fuck at Christmas time so that they get to spend the next week thinking about, are we sneaking off together? He's like, good point. We'll lie. And that's the premise from the movie. Can they keep this secret, and can they not, fall back in love with each other? And you know where it's going. You know that there's going to be romantic tension between them because that's how rom-coms work. But I liked it. I was in.
I just want you to know that this movie features a Yorkie, and my dog Mina apparently she recognizes even cartoon dogs like Bluey on TV and barks excitedly to see them. However, she did not recognize the Yorkie as a dog and ignored it the entire time. Yeah, until the credits, there is an animated version of the dog that she recognized as a dog, but she did not recognize the Yorkie, which we thought was very funny that she does not see Yorkies as dogs, apparently.
Your dog is a comic scholar, I fear.
Yes, and she also is very smart because, hyenas are not really dogs, and she does not treat the hyenas in The Lion King like they're dogs. She'll bark at Lady and the Tramp.
Okay. Correct.
So I guess what I'm saying is Mina doesn't believe Yorkies are really dogs and don't belong in the dog show. The toy breeds are beneath her.
That particular Yorkie was treated.
That particular Yorkie is kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
That dog's an asshole. Do you really want her to be?
I don't think we could talk about the Yorkie until we talk about the Yorkie's owner. And I am surprised, Hannah, that you're not the one bringing this up, but it's Kristen Chenoweth.
It is Kristen Chenoweth, which is why I agreed to watch this movie.
Really? Is that the only reason?
No, but it was the main one because I like her and I'm glad she's doing well. I've enjoyed her other Netflix rom-coms. Forget Lindsay Lohan. It's Kristen Chenoweth doing a mean mother-in-law. Obviously, I have to watch that.
Yes.
Which I will say it really did give me a GCB Good Christian Bitches throwback to watch Kristen Chenoweth play the villain again. And I loved that. She is, as much as I will always associate her with Belinda, she's so good at playing the villain. And so putting her as the antagonist who could actually go toe-to-toe with Lindsay Lohan, was a really smart choice on the part of casting.
Yeah, and by the way, can I just say that with Leah's Perfect Gift, it's Barbara Niven playing that same kind of character, and it's a great comparison. I love these movies where you're coming home to the family, right, and then the family is just messed up.
I think catch that tonight. I like it as a premise. I like that for the holiday Christmas movie of, and so we're going home to meet my folks is always a good setup because it's just it's implicit drama. It's inherently there's something stressful about, and now I've got to spend Christmas with these people that I don't really know. Because of that, my relationship is theoretically on the line. So I think that becomes part of a lot of these films. Also, it's just easy to film because essentially you can film most of the movie in one home. So I think a lot of the films end up having that as the premise.
Yes. I'll add in one of my classic Christmas favorites is Christmas in Connecticut. Has anybody seen that? It's an old black and white movie. 40s.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's similar, different, but it takes place in pretty much one house, and it's got this same slapstick. We're going to tell a lie, but pull one over on someone else, and the family is involved in it. And I think that, this is almost like a throwback to that kind of old classic movie. And I think that's what it reminded me of whenever I saw it. I thought it was really good.
Yep. I mean, that's a reason why we might not, obviously not Red One, because this is not the premise of Red One, but I think some of these films that have like, the meeting the parents aspect, for example, are just so relatable and like to watch, because Meet the Parents remains like
Meet the actual
classic
movie.
That definitely Our Little Secret was drawing on a little bit, because like, you know, you're stressed out, like trying to impress your partner's family, and like they may not be like an ex-CIA agent or like the biggest dog mom, but like, you know, like my oldest son is my favorite child and only my favorite child, and I don't like anyone else.
I am halo lit in the family portrait.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Somebody want to explain that bit to the audience, because I love that bit.
Every year they get a family painting.
Uh-huh.
Every year, this family, who's rather well off, gets a family portrait painted. And every year, in exactly the same position, never aging, Kristen Chesowitz is like halo lit, like soft amber lighting, 10 shades brighter than anyone else around her. And they have a hallway gallery of just these paintings. And Lindsay Lohan's walking through and it's just like, she doesn't age. And like, it's never revisited. It's just, it is what it is. It's great.
Well, I mean, she notices every time she walks through the hallway. That's what I love about it. It's not like you spend the entire movie going, is she a vampire? It's never, there's no explanation, because she looks the same in the portraits when the children are 2 and 3 years old as she does when they're 20 and 25. And why? I don't know. That's just great, because she's a timeless beauty. That's why. Monica, you didn't like this one as much, or did you not know that this was just going to be my favorite?
No, I really thought this movie was delightful. It's just that it had less abs.
It did have less abs.
It had less dance numbers.
Carbs were okay. You want carbs at Christmas. They're cookies.
I did relate to Lindsay Lohan's need to eat an entire dozen cookies in one sitting and then feel a little ill and a little guilty about it, as someone who did that this week, as Hannah was right to point out. No, I thought that this was wonderful. I think in my head, I did have a little trouble with the romantic lead, is probably best known as being the teacher in Pretty Little Liars. And so there was just a moment where I did have a little trouble seeing him with an age-appropriate girlfriend, though it was therefore very funny and a good running joke that his girlfriend prior to Lindsay Lohan in the film is too young for him. But I don't know how likable it made him to me. I think that I did not buy their chemistry. Not that I think I think that in Merry Gentlemen I bought the chemistry the most, and so that was important to me. But I think I was happy to sit down and watch Lindsay Lohan and Kristen Chenoweth carry a movie and forget about the man, because feminism.
Yep. I will say I've never seen Pretty Little Liars, but I like had heard like that the main lead was Ezra from Pretty Little Liars. So I just like Googled who that was. I was like, oh, okay. I understand this running joke now.
Okay.
Did they write in the daughter being like super young just so they could like, you know, reference his like past role?
And she's not really super young either. She's an adult.
In her
She's
20s.
They make a joke that she is a perpetual student, but it seems to be that we're expected to think that she's getting like a master's degree, right?
She's not 18.
So I assumed she was 25 and had just changed majors like a dozen times as
or
like,
that too.
Trying to find herself as a kind, because their characters, Ian Harding and Lindsay Lohan's characters they're like 30. So I don't think she's supposed to be that much younger than he is, or just, you know, she's just a little younger than he is. And which makes sense, because the Logan character and the Avery character are supposed to be the same age. And so if they're dating siblings who aren't twins, then one of them has to be younger. I don't like, they tease him about her being non-age appropriate, but I think it's kind of fine, because it sort of comes across as partly Avery's jealousy, which I think is fine. You know, it is a fine way for them to sort of have tension in the film.
Also, did anyone feel like this movie was very much about like something like The Family Stone, like that older holiday rom-com, was very much about, in my very vague memory, swapping between the couples and like reconfiguring who is with whom. And I felt like that was like a big theme in this movie.
I will say this is also the best use of lingerie in a Christmas movie since Elf. Like, a standout moment for me.
Yeah, it's a plot point.
As a plot point.
Mm-hmm. I also enjoyed the Christmas church scene. I thought that was fun. Awkward, but fun.
I like awkward in my Christmas movies. I mean, I think that's part of what makes them work, right?
My favorite thing about this movie, besides, of course, my dog being a snob, is the line from the pastor that's, we get so many like fair weathered church goers, and like,
yes,
that just toe to toe. And as someone who grew up in a culture where there was like Christmas and Easter Christians, and people like, people get so superior about it, it cracked me up. I'll admit, I've been a bad holiday movie watcher.
Really?
I watched I also didn't decorate for Christmas this year, although I did buy a gingerbread cat shaped pillow from Pottery Barn for when I do feel like decorating. These are the movies I watched, and one of them was Dear Santa.
I have another new one that I think that you would really like, and that's before we get to the one that doesn't really, and I'm not sure if it counts. There's a couple that I'm not sure if they count, but in the vein of traditional Hallmarky, Lifetimey, Netflixy holiday movies, did anybody else see Meet Me Next Christmas?
I was going to watch this.
I got through 8 minutes of it, and
really?
I love Alison Sweeney. She's like one of my favorite Hallmark actresses. I need to go and give this fresh eyes, because
which one is this?
Stressful time this month, and
are there two? You said Alison Sweeney. Hold on, you said Alison Sweeney, because I'm wondering if there's another movie with a similar title, because the one that I'm talking about stars Christina Milian. Okay,
now, first of all, I have to say, yes, there's 100% chance that there's a movie with the same title. So, because it's like Christmas movies, and I feel bad. Now I have to go look up the title of the one, because it was the first Christmas movie this year from Hallmark. Go ahead and tell us about the one you really like, and I'll find the title.
The one that I really like is called Meet Me Next Christmas, and it's very much is a Christmas movie. However, I like Christina Milian a lot, and the premise of this film is there's the original meet cute is at the very beginning of the movie. This woman is trying to get home for Christmas so that her and her boyfriend can go to a Pentatonix concert, which she likes to see Pentatonix every Christmas. But her flight is being delayed. And so while the flight's being delayed, she meets this guy whose flight is also delayed. And they spend the evening in the waiting area,
the lounge,
like near a food court. They basically spend the evening in a food court at an airport talking, and they sort of have a connection. And then his flight gets called, and he's like, "Hey, I know you have a boyfriend, but if things don't work out and the universe brings us back together, could we ever date?" And finally she says, if that were ever to work, but I'm not going to break up with my boyfriend, so it's going to work. So it's going to be fine. He's like, "Well, you've turned me on to Pentatonix," because she kept talking about how much she loved Pentatonix. "So I'm going to go to their concert next year. And if we're both single and we're both there, we'll hook up at the Pentatonix concert." And then she's like, "All right, sounds great." And then a year goes by, and 3 days before Christmas, her boyfriend cheats on her. So now she's single. So she's like, "I'm going to go to the Pentatonix concert." And then it's literally the whole movie is her trying to get tickets to this Pentatonix concert so that she can meet the love of her life that she just met this one time at the Pentatonix concert. And then I've got to give a minor spoiler. The way she's going to get the tickets is she hires this concierge whose job is to like find stuff, and he's trying to help her find tickets. And over the course of the movie, you're like, "Oh my God, but he's perfect for her." And will she go for the dude that she met the one time a year ago, or will she go for the dude that she's been spending these 48 hours with trying to get tickets? And then as a kicker, Pentatonix is in the movie. And
oh, wow.
I was going to ask if this movie was sponsored by Pentatonix, so continue.
Very much so. But what's great about them is I did not know how good a sense of humor Pentatonix has. They are delightful, and they star as themselves, and they are idiots. They are playing themselves as complete morons. They
I love it.
Everything about the movie is Pentatonix, just like all five of them making fun of themselves, treating themselves like idiots. They are very in on the joke, and they learn very early on that she's trying to get tickets, but they can't decide which guy they want her to be with. So they're sort of manipulating things behind the scenes throughout the entire movie. It's hilarious.
You sold this. Totally.
Yeah, it is. They're just like, oh, well, wait, maybe we do this. Maybe we do this. Or do we want to give them, do we want to call? And it's like literally Pentatonix sort of playing things. And they like to the point where they're like using rom-com terms. They're like, yes, but this is such a perfect meet cute for them. You know, like they're literally doing that because to Pentatonix, to these people are just a delightful love story. And their manager keeps going, you know, we've got things to do. You've got to go plan your concert. And then Kirsten from Pentatonix is like, no, we're invested in this. No, we can't. Like it becomes entirely about them trying to enjoy these, you know, this woman's love story. It is so just delightfully cute.
That is so exciting because I was like, this sounds good, but it's on my to watch list still. And I was like, if she just spends the whole 48 hours treating the concierge like crap, I don't want this. Even if we take a steep, save the plane from the nosedive, I don't want this, but that has sold me.
The reason I gave the spoilers is because without the spoilers, the marketing hook of it is very obviously, no, she's going to mistreat this guy and then fall for him, because that's the premise to the film. That's the formula that they're following, but they make it more than that by making it this meta narrative about Pentatonix in on the joke. Just like literally the real story is that Pentatonix is manipulating these people so as to enjoy a rom-com that they know they're in. Like, cute. It's really silly and really cute in a way that I did not know they had that good a sense of humor. Everything about them is them being annoying diva rock stars. There's a point where every time someone talks to them, whenever they're holding a conversation, they'll answer in unison and start singing the answer. And their manager's like, how do you guys do that? And they're like, what? Like it's just like it's literally just like constantly them being the bit that like Pentatonix shares one brain, and it's not a very smart brain. So it's really good.
You know, that sounds strangely like a Beatles movie.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that vibe. Yellow Submarine kind of vibe to it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've totally got to see this now. Can you tell us the title again, Mav, so I don't mess it up? Because I really want to see this.
This one's called Meet Me Next Christmas.
Meet Me Next Christmas. Awesome.
You know, I don't think I saw hardly any PR for this. I don't even remember seeing it, you know, on the you might like part, you know, where they give
you wouldn't know that Pentatonix is in it from the poster, other than on Netflix, the star of it's Christina Milian's Christmas movie from this year on Netflix. Like, it is being sold as though it is just a generic, and here's another one of these movies that you've seen a billion of.
They didn't really do PR at all, and they really should. It sounds interesting.
Yeah. I believe the Alison Sweeney one this year is This Time Each Year is her Christmas movie from this year.
All of these movies start to flow together.
Yes, very much so. I also like Alison Sweeney because I'm a longtime Days of Our Lives fan.
Yeah.
But she's done, you know, she can make these in her sleep at this point.
That's the problem. It was so clear that they really didn't give her a good vehicle this time, and it upsets me. Mm-hmm. And so it's, but you know, I do want to point out that, and this wasn't on the main Hallmark channel. This year there are 9 movies that have come out from Hallmark Mystery Channel, and it's like all under this idea of the miracles of Christmas. And so maybe that's part of it is, you know, she does a lot of stuff for them now. She's like 17 different sleuths, all these people. Like doing like the same over and over again, you know?
They've been doing the miracles of Christmas for like 15 years now.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Totally
Because I watched them, but I didn't realize that's what it was called.
And she's in a lot of them. Like Sweeney has found, like you said, like 3 or 4 different franchises on Hallmark where she just plays like a crime-solving cupcake baker.
You are right that there is a lot more going on because now they're really hitting hard with the Hallmark Plus, and they tried to move one of their favorite shows strictly to Hallmark Plus, and the fans, boycotted and called the way back. And then, therefore, they had to rescind their decision and say, well, we're going to put it on both platforms. It'll be on Hallmark and Hallmark Plus. So, they've got Hallmark Drama, Hallmark Mysteries, Hallmark Plus, then there's Hallmark. So I think they're trying to put original programming on all of it. There's a new series called The Mistletoe Murders on Hallmark Plus, and I just found that the other day and didn't get a chance to start it. But it's like there's so much I can't keep up with all of them.
I haven't even heard of that one.
I haven't seen that one either.
There's a lot. There's a lot to keep up with. Do you have the Hallmark Countdown app?
I do but not. I can't. I'm terrible with those things.
I try to keep track of it so that then years later, when I all sound the same, I can look back on my app and go, "Yes, you did watch that one like 4 years ago." So yes.
Did anybody else watch the Sabrina Carpenter one? A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter?
No.
Okay. I thought Monica might have given it a shot just because. But it's as we talked about on last week's episode when we did the things you missed. I have become a Sabrina Carpenter fan because of the project that I'm working on for a conference, and so I was like, I will definitely give this a shot.
Is it like the Sabrina Carpenter version of like the Bill Murray thing?
Yes. Yeah. It is very directly Sabrina Carpenter doing the Frank Sinatra Christmas. Like that's what this is. It's, we're going to hang out. We're going to do some skits and then David Bowie will drop by. It's exactly that. For David, the part of David Bowie is now played by Chappell Roan, right? Like that's it. Like
that's correct. So
that's and it's like, we'll do some vaguely Saturday Night Live level Christmas skit. And then between them, we'll do a musical number. And, she's very good. She's a very good singer. And the comedy is about the level of a mid-tier Saturday Night Live joke. So it's not great. But, like, if you like her, it's fun, I guess. And if you like her and you know enough about currently 20-year-old other singers, if you're too old, you're not going to get most of it, right? Because most of the other people who appear are not famous to middle-aged people. They're mostly famous to 20-year-olds. It's Sabrina Carpenter, current 20-something pop singers, and current 20-something like YouTube comedians.
You know what? I'm going to decide that the fact that Mav thought I had seen this is a compliment and that I am young and I do know what the kids are into these days.
I thought you might have just tried it out of curiosity. She's a good singer. She's a very good singer,
You said the kids are into these days. That's cute.
Yeah. The only other one I watched was Carry On. I don't know.
I'm not into that yet, but it's on my list.
That's on my list too. Do you like it?
It's Die Hard. It's not as good as Die Hard. It's almost exactly Die Hard 2. If you've ever seen the film Die Hard 2, it's a Die Hard style movie, but it is more or less the plot to Die Hard 2. It is a regular guy and he ends up in the middle of a terrorist plot. Instead of a cop, he's a TSA agent, but it's a guy who gets in over his head, and want his partner to die. Like that's basically it. So he is an unlikely hero and he's got to save the day. And it's Christmas, it is happening on Christmas Eve. That is the connection. He is a TSA agent on the busiest travel day of the year. And someone wants to sneak a WMD onto a plane. And they basically, he is given an earpiece by a random person in line. And so he puts the earpiece in, and it's a voice saying, somebody's going to come with a suitcase with a red ribbon. You are going to let it onto the plane, or we're going to shoot your wife. We've got a gun pointed at her head right now. And he doesn't believe it. And then they do a couple things to prove that they mean business. And that's basically, would you allow whatever this is? He doesn't even know what it is. He suspects it's a bomb. Would you allow a bomb on the plane to save your significant other?
Here, hypothetically, if someone fell asleep while watching Die Hard for the first time and didn't feel the need to finish it when she woke up, would she enjoy this movie?
I would say Die Hard's a better movie than this. Maybe Taron Egerton is more your speed than Bruce Willis. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't have the kind of budget to warrant being a Die Hard level movie, but it is, like they very clearly filmed it for cash on hand, and they do as good a job as they can of trying to make the airport, they're not really at LAX. There's a lot of stuff that's really filmed in a warehouse, but they're trying to make it seem like it's an airport, that kind of thing. And it's, it's fine. I normally I'm like, I don't want to do any spoilers. There's no spoilers here. He saves the day because that's the kind of movie it is. His wife does not die.
Mav, can I tell you a piece? Mav, can I tell you a piece of trivia that will crack you up? Die Hard 2 was partially filmed at the airport in Alpena, Michigan, where my mom and my aunt lived. And so my cousins and everyone got to meet Bruce Willis and the whole bit. So when you're talking about trying to make a movie look like it's somewhere else, I was just cracking up.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know if you'd like it. It's less action-y than, say, a Fast and Furious movie. But you're not a big Fast and Furious fan, so I don't know.
I've seen the 20-minute episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine that parodies Die Hard.
That seems right. And then you have Hot Frosty connections.
Yeah.
I just think that Carry On is really effective because everyone has anxiety around, will it fit? Is it too big? Can I get it in the overhead carpet? I would watch a movie that was just about that.
Okay, that is part of the story.
Oh, yes. Then I'll watch.
That scene does come up eventually of no, sir, do you want to check this bag? No, I don't. But it has to. It is 1 inch too big. Cannot we just no? That's literally a scene in the movie it matches the same anxiety that, you've had. I had to buy a new bag last year because the one that I'd used for the last several years was getting flagged more often than not. So I bought one that was exactly the right size, and I'm sure they're just going to change the size again next year just to screw me over. The entire thing is the luggage cartels are manipulating the system in order to make me continue to buy new bags.
One might assume, given it's a Christmas movie and Netflix's love for puns, it's not just about a carry-on bag. It's a call for all of us to carry on.
Oh,
yes.
Oh my God, we have solved nothing.
I do want to make sure we get a chance. Sandy, you said you had a story that you want to tell.
Totally forgot. I mean, it's been so long. I went to Christmas Con Land. If you've never heard of this, it is a mecca for the Hallmark and the Lifetime people to go to once a year in New Jersey, it says, where all of the Hallmark stars and the Lifetime stars get together and they do photo and autographs like a mini, like Comic-Con, but only for the romance stars. But what's really interesting about this is they blast Christmas music, and when you walk in the door, everybody is decked out in Christmas wigs, and they have photo ops and hot chocolate. And I think that the most interesting part is watching all of the people try to decide how they're going to pick where they're going to go first, because you can't really do in one day the photo op and the autograph. It is really hard unless you're willing to stand in line for 6 or 7 hours. So.
Did you get photos with anybody? Cool.
I did. I did Lacey Chabert because I had not met the one called Lacey and Her Leading Men, and it had 4 of the guys in it that she usually stars with, like Tyler Hines and Andrew Walker, and so I got to have like those 3-second conversations that you have with them, and that was pretty fun. So I did that, and I also did another one with Mark Lucas, who I kind of know more from Buffy than the Hallmark Channel movies, but he's also been in numerous Hallmark and Lifetime movies. So yeah, it was pretty fun. But again, like you stand in line for so long that it's like by the time you're done that, you really don't have time to do anything else. But these women are over the top obsessed. They wear shirts that match, and they, have, I think,
oh my God. Like cosplay level, or are they like Disney bounding? Basically, they're basically trying to like get the vibe.
No, I mean, I even saw one where they had Christmas lights around their body. Where they had like the LED with the battery, and they were all decked up from the headband to the shirt to the lights. And I was with my friend, and I said, next year we have to up our game because we aren't matching at all. It was just really interesting. The best one was the shirt for Chad Michael Murray that I saw, because it was like Chad freaking Michael freaking Murray, and it was like huge, the whole shirt. And these girls were so excited, and I looked at them, and it was, I think, a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter.
Oh, that's cool.
It was adorable.
What do we have to do to get an academic roundtable here next year so that we can like go and call it work?
Wouldn't that be fun? We could analyze it.
I would totally.
We could survey. We could do like a questionnaire of the women, and as the audience, it would be fun.
Oh, this is great.
I'm picturing the Christmas themed academic outfits you would need to complete, and then you could wear it to the round table.
Yeah, would that be fun?
So, cannot believe we had this many people for this episode this year. I think that that's the best part of this episode. Is it anything anybody's really looking forward to?
You guys, I got to mention one. I need to mention because it fits. But Jennifer Love Hewitt wrote, directed, and acted in The Holiday Junkie on Lifetime, and I deeply recommend it. It's a very personal story for her. And I was worried about watching it because it's about someone who misses their mom. And I really miss my mom, especially at the holidays. And it wasn't cheesy and it wasn't horrible. And it felt real to me. So highly recommend. Plus, she plays opposite her real life husband, who is so hot. He is so good looking. So like ab person, you will love this. Is that Hannah or is it Dr. Fitz?
One of you is the ab person. Are you all ab people?
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay. Well, they're ample abs. But the female lead, who's, Hewitt, she responds appropriately to the abs. So just wanted to throw that one out there and throw out also the one that is on Hallmark called Santa Tell Me.
Oh, I want one.
All I'll say about that one is there's a ton of actors in it whom I love.
Awesome.
I agree. That one was good fun.
I definitely am looking forward to the Hanukkah one that you mentioned. I want to see that. So should be fun. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. This was productive for me. If nothing else, I have to go grade a lot more. Gwen, anything you want to plug?
Not this year. This year I'm an administrator, just trying to keep my head above water. But I can't wait to hear what all y'all are doing.
Let's see how this works out. What about you?
As you know, I do administrate. What am I doing? I'll have something to plug in the near future. It's going to be an open educational resource that's about designing spaceships and like teaching people how to do accessible and inclusive design. But it's not open yet. So one day that will be happening. I'm on Blue Horizon, and it'll be listed somewhere.
We'll have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Sandy, what about you?
I only have one project right now. Mav, you are one of our authors. I'm working on a book about.
I'm on. Totally, I am. Really, I am.
I know. I haven't written mine either, so don't feel bad.
I don't want to talk about it.
So I'm working about comic book heroes and life lessons that everyone could take from that and apply to your own life. So each chapter would be a different real life practical application of a life lesson.
Yep, I'm totally doing that.
That's what I say too. I'm writing it all in my head right now.
That's right. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm just way behind on stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm working on it.
Don't feel bad. It's the holidays.
Monica Marvelous, what about you?
If you'd like to talk about abs with me, I guess you could find me on Instagram, and that is at Monica Marvelous. That is LOUS.
It's weird that you still do the LOUS. Like, we know because, like, since you're no longer using the misspelled one on Twitter, it doesn't actually matter.
I guess that's right. Twitter is dead.
And Palindrome Hannah.
I am here, but also plug. It's the holidays. It's a good time to do good for people, although we should keep kindness and love for our fellow humans in our hearts all the year. If you would like to donate your time or money to a local food bank or help out with a cause that you really care about, now could be a good time to get started with that. And soon there will be New Year's resolutions, so another excuse to do good.
You're here.
God bless us, everyone, and raspberry pudding. Yeah, all that stuff. As always, you can follow me on, well, not on Twitter anymore. But I mean, I am on Twitter, but I don't post there anymore. On Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, all of the places. I'm always at Chris Maverick. You can follow the show. Some of those places. We're mostly on Facebook and Blue Sky these days. At VoxPopcast, you can follow the show's blog at www.voxpopcast.com, where we post about whatever we're going to be talking about next week. And you can leave us comments on this or any other episode. You can suggest topics and guests. Sometimes we pick guests from the comments that we get on the blog. So if you enjoy the show, and we certainly hope you do, then please subscribe to us on iTunes or Spotify or Pandora or wherever the hell you get podcasts from. And do us a favor, leave us a 5-star review. If you leave us a 5-star review, that boosts the algorithm, makes us more popular, and really helps us out. Oh, yeah, and YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. I forgot that because theoretically, if I finished grading stuff on time, then our spinoff podcast, X to Z Movies with me and my niece Marie, is up the first episode on YouTube and probably the first episode in this podcast feed. So subscribe to that and say nice things there too. And remember that my co-host on that show is a 14-year-old girl, so be nice. But beyond that, I would like to thank Maximilian of Thoughtform Music for our epic theme song, building ever so more epically and playing us out. I'd once again like to thank all of our guests for joining us. I'd like to thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.